Samapeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Taruvajuhava Pushpenkitam Mayataya Talavovanendus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktyavinina Aparadanakshay Chittastakamani Tarangamadye Kripamayitvam Sharanam Prapadam Vringe Namaste Charanarvindam Tavoivasmi Tavoivasmi Najivami Tambina Iti Vidyayarade Tammayamam Charanantike Angashamavim Chatavirabhito Mandi Kritanti Varam Jadyam Jaguradoshi Samvedagatam Paratam Varasya Shriya Vrindavanyavilasinam Vidyasattamagiramadam Radhaskandhaniveshito Jalaputam Jaya Damodaram Jaya Damodaram Hare Vikadu Balagar Kariyarvasha Yashe Nipatya Uvidandavaravati Asya Prasada Madhudasya Janasya Kripa Kantarvike Jagane Gadanam Videhi. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances and the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Part. I spoke respectfully Srimad Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Part. I spoke Sat Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Shri Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, to our Param Gurudev, Shri Bhakti Vigyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates and all the assembled devotees and the assembled devotees. Diksha Guru, so my Shiksha Guru, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Bhavan Maharaj and Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. Now we're going to share something in a little while that Shri Siddhanti Maharaj shared with his devotees at Mansarovar. I was just going to give that one second.
Oh, okay, you're going to
All right, so according to the schedule, the 1, 2, 3, it's first we go to Bachral, and for that I'm going to call on Champak, and then we're going to take a detour to Manasikanga, and then come back.
I think Bachral and Kurga are like right there.
They are right there.
Maybe you stay in the same zone.
So,
same zone, yeah.
all right, I'll speak about Bakuraga, unless anybody else would be interested. And then we'll take a detour to Manisikanga and the detour back, and we'll go to Mansarovar.
She wanted to share something about the
About what? Your transfer, yes. Actually, maybe we could do that first since we want to get the,
Then you decide to go meet something.
all right, so we'll do that later.
Set it up.
Okay. All right, then Bangsipat, but not the Bangsipat that's in Vrindavan. This is the Bangsipat in Bandiravan. And then we'll go to 3 different forests today.
You might have to sleep out there.
Camping!
Yeah.
Last year we camped a lot, actually.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay, Madhavan, Vajravan, and Pandiravan. So first, I'm going to give the floor and pillow to John Bhagavata, Devi Dasi. Act Bhatro. First, let us bow down and roll in the dust here at Bhatro, the place of the Jaga Patnis. Here we are there. We're here. And it's a lot of steps to walk up. We just walked up and now we are offering our obeisances here and taking that dust on our head, eyes, lips, heart, and tongue. And
Squirrel?
now we're ready for,
Squirrel?
we are ready to give her the squirrel.
Squirrel?
Surprise. There you go. Come on. Okay.
Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatane Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Dinamne Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti.
I said it for everybody.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna do Gurudev Prabhupada. Because that's what I saw him do, Gada Vraja.
There's so many places.
So we just do Om Gyana I offer my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimati Shamarani Didi, and my Param Gurudevs, so that we can enter into these pastimes. So here we are at Batrola Gaon. I think that's how you pronounce it. And
Patro.
Bhatrola Gaon. And this is the place where Krishna and Balaram or Baladev and all of their friends went to the Brahmanas and the Brahmanis, their Yagyapatnis, to beg alms for food. So what happened is that Krishna and Baladev and all of their cowherd friends, Mother Yashoda sent food to Bandiravan, but they didn't end up in Bandiravan. They ended up in like at the border of Mathura and Vrindavan, and so they were hungry, and there was nothing around them except for asoka trees, so there was nothing to eat. And so the Sakas asked Krishna and Baladev, what do we do? We're so hungry, so what can we do to quench our hunger? And then Krishna and Baladev said that there's some brahmanas having a fire sacrifice, a yajna nearby, and so that these brahmanas, just tell them that Krishna and Baladev are here and that we're hungry, and they'll surely give us some food. And so the Sakas went to the fire sacrifice and to the brahmanas, and they said, we're here, we know that you can offer us some foodstuffs, because that's part of like sanctified, and I can't remember
The fire yajna was at a certain point.
where they're allowed to offer the foodstuffs, or give it out. Yeah. So so the yagya was at a certain point where they were allowed to give the food stuff. So the sakas came and they asked the brahmanas, hey, we're hungry, you can offer us the foodstuffs, it's fine. Like, will you please give us foodstuffs? And the brahmanas were so absorbed in their fire sacrifice, they're absorbed in swaha, swaha, that they ignored the sakas when they were asking for food. And so the sakas came back to Krishna and Baladev and they said they were so absorbed that they didn't even pay attention to us and wouldn't give us any foodstuffs and we're so hungry. So like, what do we do? And so Krishna and Baladev said that that's okay. Surely their wives will honor us and they will give us foodstuffs. So go to the homes of the wives, the yagya patnis, and ask them. And so when they went to the homes of the brahmanis, they asked for food and they immediately gave them foodstuffs that they had just freshly prepared. I'm guessing it was like more foodstuffs for the fire sacrifice or something like that. And so it was freshly prepared and they gave it to them. And then they collected all the food and brought it back to Krishna and Baladev. And then later, the wives came to Krishna and said, we want to leave our atheistic husbands and we just want to serve you, be the servant of the servant. And will you please take us as your servants? And Krishna said, no, go back to your husbands and they will repent and they will praise you very much for what you've done, like for the service that you've done. And so please go back to your husbands. And so the Brahmanis went back to their husbands. And one thing that Srila Gurudev said is that when
Krishna told the gopis to go back.
Yeah, Krishna also similarly told the gopis to go back to their husbands, but they did not return to their husbands. And at that time, then they had the rasa dance, and they were able to. Oh, what? Rasa.
At Ras dance.
Rasa.
Ras is in
Rasa, Leela, and so that's the difference between the gopis and the brahmanis. The brahmanis, they have a different relationship because Krishna is a gopa. So he has so much reverence for the brahmanis. He has so much respect for the brahmins. So he's not going to accept them as his servants. But he did say that to the brahmanis that served him and gave him the foodstuffs, he did say that all of your desires will be fulfilled. So if they wanted to, they could come back in another life and in the womb of a gopi and serve Krishna as a gopi. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you, very good. Do you know the prayer?
No.
Now there are three important prayers.
Oh, you have them.
No,
yeah.
There are three important prayers. Brahma is the lowest in terms of perfection, describing Krishna's form, and the Jagyapatnis are in the middle. Yeah, you know it? Oh, that's theirs. But Brahma's was the lowest of the three. Namrityate Bapusa. So that prayer was describing the beauty of Krishna, what he wears, what he looks like. And the Yagyapatnis also described him. And the topmost of the three topmost prayers describing Krishna is of the gopis. So here's the Jagyapatnis. You can say it with me. Harida. Shamam Haranya Paribimbanamaya Bharata Katu Prabhavana Pravesh Nubitam Se Vanya Sahasramikarena Dunanamaja Krishna Karno Palaka Kapumana Kuta Hasam. Krishna's complexion is like a blackish blue hue,
And his garments
like a water-laden rain cloud, and his splendid cloth appears like a flash of lightning. Cresting his head is a peacock feather, and each limb of his body is decorated with exquisite patterns of paint. I think we were looking for some evidence of that he has paintings all over him. So here it is. Each limb of his body is decorated with exquisite patterns of paint and made from colored forest minerals. Sprigs of new leaves and blossoms adorn his body, and upon his neck an enchanting forest flower garland of 5 colors hangs down to his knees. Attired in this way, like a dramatic actor, he rests one hand on his friend's shoulder, and with the other twirls a pastime lotus, as if to twist our hearts. Lilies grace his ears, curly locks of hair splash against, so beautifully said, and his curly locks of hair splash against his cheeks, and his lotus face blossoms with a gentle smile.
Are the paintings on his arms like tattoos? Is that how?
Temporary minerals.
Mineral?
They wash off when he plays in the Yamuna and the Kunds.
I always knew.
Always knew.
I was wondering if we can start painting Krishna in that way, since he's described that way. I've seen that and painted that way from like Srinathji, the deities in Vrindavan. These pictures.
Right, well, let me ask you, Padmata Maharaj, what Gurudev said about that.
Okay.
But you'll have to remind me, because half the time I forget what to ask him.
Okay.
I think, oh, there's something I had to ask, but couldn't think of it. Okay, so now we are again bowing down, offering our respects here. By the way, this discussion of the Jagyapatnis was the last discussion that Gurudev gave on all of his Western tours in Moscow when it was so hot. It was like the Manjutavi fire, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then he just had to get up and go. It was so hot. That was the last. And there was only one more lecture in Delhi. Okay, so where are we going next? The Kuraghat. And here we are at the Kuraghat. It's just a short walk. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is the temple of Akrura and Krishna and Balaram. And here is Akrura on his chariot, driving Krishna and Balaram to Mathura to be killed by Hamsa and his men. But Akrura knew that Krishna was God, so he knew nothing could happen to it. But when Kamsa sent him to Vraj from Mathura, because he was one of the employees of Kamsa, he thought, what a great chance to meet them. And he was Krishna's uncle. So when he came to that house, he was greeted very beautifully by the family, and he took Krishna and Balaram off to the side and tried to convince them that Vasudeva and Devaki were their parents and he should come and save them because they're in great danger. So Krishna knew that was absurd, but because Vasudeva and Devaki were friends of Nanda Baba. He wanted to go and help. So then they're seated on the chariot, and different books, different scriptures tell little bits and pieces extra. Haridas, can you get the Krishna book, volume 1? Because there are some very old paintings of Krishna and Balaram on the chariot, and the gopis trying to stop them. And then Akrura bathing in the Jamuna. At this ghat, at Akrura Ghat, is the dividing line between Vrindavan and Mathura. So, the gopis, when Krishna and Balaram early in the morning were seated on the chariot of Akrura, the gopis, because they know Krishna the best, and everyone else thought he's coming back the next day, he was just being invited for a wrestling match, a festival in Mathura. But the gopis, who knew Krishna the best, knew what a big cheater he is, and so they were saying, yes, we village girls are not good enough for him. Now he wants to go to the town girls. This is in, Gurudev used to give lectures like this in the 90s. They'd rather have the town girls. And every day they can go to a new town girl, and that one will have man, and that one will have man the next day. And these girls know much better than us how to decorate themselves in a city way. And now Krishna just wants that. He's never satisfied. He went from one to the other of us, and now he's not satisfied. And so Srimati Radhika and some other gopis, they couldn't even talk about it because they were unconscious. Yeah, here it is. So, yeah, it's so old. So in 1969, 1970, Srila Prabhupada created an assembly line process for the artists and for the other ISKCON press workers. This one was actually done by Bharadwaj in 1969-70. And here, in this book, Srila Prabhupada describes, otherwise Gurudev describes here, that when Akrura came, he saw the footprints of Krishna. And so he did it. He got off his chariot, rolled in the dust of those footprints.
When will I roll like that?
Yeah. He became overwhelmed with all the symptoms of ecstasy. He wept and his body trembled. Then, when Krishna and Balaram were on the chariot, here are the gopis trying to stop the chariot. Some of them pulled on the horse's reins, some of them just fainted.
Is that what it looked like when Gurudev would leave? Like everybody around?
Something like that, yeah. So this was also 1969-70. Yeah, they're quite beside themselves. And then they couldn't really keep up with the chariot because Akrura, seeing them trying to follow, he made the chariot go in a zigzag way. And then they just stood there like paintings. It's described in the Krishna book. They just stood there like paintings, stiff. And they stayed there until all they could see is dust, because the wheels, you couldn't see the chariot anymore. And then the dust from the chariot wheels was all on their body. So they didn't want that dust to come off because it was their last connection with Krishna. So they stayed in the forest, they didn't want to go home, and they rolled around, sometimes speaking Krishna's not remembering us, why should we remember him? But the problem is, we can forget him, but we can't forget talking about him. So, so their clothes was mixed with their tears and the dust, so it became like mud, so it stayed on. So now Krishna's seated on the chariot. Akrura stopped the chariot at this place, which is the dividing line between Vrindavan and Mathura. And we all know that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. And only an expansion of Krishna, Vasudeva Krishna, the one who appeared to Vasudeva and Devaki when he first came into the world, only he can go back to Mathura. He never even comes to Vrindavan. So Akrura stopped the chariot at this place, and all religious devotees, they all say their anak, and he was saying his anak in the water. And then, who does he meditate on? He meditates on four-handed Brahma. So he has, of course, he doesn't consider Krishna as God fully. So on this day, instead of having darshan of Sanatan Brahma in his meditation, he saw the forms of Ram and Krishna in the water. Oh, we have a picture of that.
And
Not sure where. I think it's in the comic book again.
Oh, it's not the beautiful woman.
What?
He's under the water?
Yeah. And he's seeing Krishna and Balaram, and they're turning into Vishnu and Shesh and all the sages. That's described more vividly in Prabhupada's translation of the Krishna book.
yeah, I think it's in there.
Want to get it?
Yeah.
So on that day, instead of seeing his Supreme Lord, he saw the forms of Rama and Krishna. He became confused because they were just on the chariot. So he went back to the chariot and he saw them sitting there. He looked towards the chariot, he looked towards the water, and he saw them in both places. Now he became fully confident that Krishna and Balaram were truly the complete Sanatana Brahma. So then Gurudev explains how there's a very deep philosophical conclusions here, which is what we just mentioned, that Krishna and Balaram never go to Mathura and leave Vrindavan. So at Akrura, they just went back. According to Tattva, Yashodanandan and Devaki Nandan are one, but according to Ras, there's a vast difference in terms of the intimacy of the relationship. And another pastime that's in relation to this place is that this is also in the Krishna book too. So like Prabhupada gave us so much, sometimes we just glided over it. Fortunately for us artists, we had to, there it goes.
Their mic is next to you.
We had to read very carefully in order to pick out the pictures. Otherwise, I'm so lazy, I never would have read, but I was forced to. So once, Nanda Baba, and I think the picture is there too, Nanda Baba was observing Ekadasi, and he observed Kadasi near Jalakadasi, not even drinking water. So that night was also the start of Dwadasi. And so he went to take bath in the Yamuna, which is prescribed for Ekadashi, but it was too late. And so the policemen of Varuna, the god of all the waters, arrested him and brought him to Varun Loka, where the god of the waters has his abode in the water. And there was a special reason why all this happened, which was that Varuna Dev just wanted the darshan of Krishna. So by kidnapping his father, naturally Krishna came to save him. And so Varuna Dev got his darshan and was glorifying him that today my life is successful and I'm giving you back your father. Srila Gurudev says that millions of holy places are here at Kuragat, where we are. So fortunate. It's a very sacred injunction to take bath here at the time of the solar eclipse. Also, Lord Chaitanya, when he came to Vrindavan through the Jarikhanda forest, first he came to Kuragat in the night, and then when dawn came, very early morning, he went to Imlitala. That means he walked from Kuragat and on the border to Imlitala, where our Gopinath Bhavan is, and he would chant Harinam from early dawn until noontime, all throughout. So like Srila Gurudev would order us, like one time he said, don't do anything, even eat, until you've sat there in one sitting and done 22 rounds. So when he was in Amritala, as you know, we saw the other day, that murti of him is there. An uninterrupted flood of tears would come to his eyes, from his eyes, and he would experience all the astasatvika bhavs, or transformations, like hair standing on end, a complexion powering, tears flowing, becoming stunned. What else is there?
Circulation.
Revelation is hair standing on end.
Crying, belching.
Belching is an anubhav, it's not one of the 8. Astasatvika. Romansha, sweating, perspiring.
Bypactu, devastation.
Oh yeah, and like death.
Changing.
Yeah. Okay, so the prayer of God to keep dying. And they're very beautiful prayers that he utters in glorification of Krishna, which you might want to read in the Krishna book. What were you looking for?
Well, I found the one of Nanda being held captive underneath this.
Can I have it so you can show?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Got
it. So here's the painting with one of those assembly line paintings. Myself, Bhardraj, and Murlidhar. So Nanda Baba is sitting there and Varuna is offering prayers.
I have a completely off-topic question.
Okay.
In the assembly line painting process, because naturally each person is different with different styles, how did you make sure that the painting came out to be one piece? What was your communication habits to ensure that it was?
Well, Bhardraj, he was the most creative of us. He has the most vivid imagination, could express it on canvas because he had this magic power that he could see the final product at the beginning. So he just had something to copy from his mind. And then I would flatten out his work and mess it up. And then Murlidhar would put in the final details like nails, ornaments, things like that.
So was it
That was the process.
was it to some degree like Murlidhar's responsibility to like even potentially tweak things that you and Bharadwaj had done to
Basically, he
ensure
would
it
put
was
on,
seamless?
the details. I don't remember him tweaking everything, make it seamless. He would put on the details, and that made it opulent and more detailed. Bells and things like that. And, we were all young devotees. So sometimes we had a hard time, like, for the cover of the Krishna book. You have the cover of the Krishna book there? Can I see that? Cover.
Go ahead.
Isn't it on the cover?
No, this is the cover.
Oh, I see. So can you hold it up and hold it up to the devotees present? So we each had a different idea of how the effulgence should look. So I forget who started it, and somebody changed it, somebody changed theirs, somebody changed theirs, somebody changed theirs. Went around a few times, but at the end it looks pretty seamless. And Barbara was always frustrated, and I was always frustrated because I couldn't enter into his mind to see how he would have developed it. But if I didn't do that, and he would have done it, he wouldn't have been able to start the next painting. So Prabhupada's desire was that we would each get 2 days. Barbara would start it, I would middle it, and Murlidhar would put the details on at the end. We each had 2 days. So each painting took 6 days, but every 2 days a new one came out. So if the process wasn't there, Bharadwaj wouldn't have been able to start the new painting. And so the Krishna book came out very quick. In fact, under Prabhupada's direction, he had a whole plan how 400 pages could be produced a month. And for years it was going on now. All right, so where are we now?
I was gonna say that,
Yes.
didn't Mahaprabhu go stay in the Kurgat because when he was at Imli and he was just too overwhelmed, people would realize when his emotions and moods, and people might discover that he's Krishna, so he stayed outside of Vrindavan on the border there at the Kurgat.
Well, he stayed at Amritala.
But he couldn't, right?
He stayed in Amritala from dawn till noon.
Oh, wow.
He stayed at a Kurgat when he arrived till overnight. But the reason he couldn't stay for long that's why he only spent a few days in Vrindavan, because if he'd stayed longer, he would have forgotten, because of all the udipans there, the stimuli, he would have forgotten that he was supposed to be Radha, and he would have thought he was Krishna. That's also a reason why Gadadhar Pandit wasn't at the Gambhira with him, because he would have also forgotten. And that's why Gadadhar Pandit was very shy and didn't want to be too forward. Like he is Radharani, but as Radharani, her role is to be very feisty and left wing. But as Hare Krishna, welcome. But as Gadadhar Pandit, he was very right-wing acting, very shy and submissive. Hi, welcome. Where are we?
Gadadhar Pandit, he was very shy and submissive.
Right, because if he acted like Radharani, then Mahaprabhu would have forgotten his role as Radharani. So because Radharani is the best pleaser of Krishna, so that's how he wanted her to be as Radha. But his desire was that he could play her role. So Gadadhar Pandit wanted to facilitate that Krishna could play her role by having that kind of more submissive mood, although he did, as Gurudev said, pull Krishna's ear in the form of Mahaprabhu by sometimes showing him how to play her role better, with more tears, more ecstasies. So who are you two?
I'm Celia.
Elia,
Celia.
Celia, and
Yes, you guys. Very well.
you just met them outside?
We were at the Upper Buena Vista thing earlier.
Oh.
Market.
I'm a neighbor here. I live on 44th.
You are?
I know a lot of the devotees, and they know me as well.
So you've been here before, you say? Or you just know them around?
Yes, I know them around, and I chant Maha Mantra.
So you do chant, you said?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great, fantastic. Celia too? Okay, so this is newer for you. Okay, so what we're doing now is this month is a month called Kartik, where thousands of devotees from all over the world go on pilgrimage to the different holy places where Krishna performed his pastimes in this world 5,000 years ago. So we're not there physically, so we go there by mind and by book, and we read about the places. So that's what we're in the middle of doing now. Is that okay? And if you have any questions, like it all sounds strange, at the end, just ask any question that's comfortable for you. Okay, so now we're going to Manasi Ganga, and I'm turning over the floor and pillow to, this is Manjari, and she's going to tell us about the place. Huh?
Hare Krishna. Hare I wish Thakurji was open. There, you could put the camera to see Thakurji's darshan. Did that stick that he has, did that come with them? You found, how did you get that?
Somebody made it. Can you sit in a way that
Yes, I will.
Celia, and what's your name again?
Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Can I not be on the camera? Can we keep the camera on Krishna or
Not,
Dean, or?
it's not really fair.
It's not fair?
But he looks like a boatman with his stick.
Yeah, but he's not open,
Ah,
because he's eating.
Jai Radhe.
I need your.
Jnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we are so fortunate today. Oh my gosh, can it be a little further? Yeah, I can see everybody nicely. We're so fortunate today that under the guidance of Sri Guru and Vaishnavas, we have arrived at this very sacred place at Govardhan called Manasi Ganga. Jai. And why is that significant? Anywhere? Let's put this
Yeah.
anywhere? Okay. We're so fortunate to come to these places because this is the way to properly hear and receive and then absorb the sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So by doing parikrama and touching the dust of these holy places, even by mind, as she said, by book and by mind, we can get the same spiritual benefit if we open our heart and open our ears and hear from our gurus and from the Vaishnavas. So when we hear, we can hear from, on parikrama, we can hear from Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and all of the sweet things that they have written in their confidential, very rasik books, which we are advised not to run out and go to the market and buy like Govinda Lilamrita, as now it's the fashion to do. So I'm just making this point in the beginning that because Srila Gurudev often would also make this point that it may be popular or a fashion nowadays for people to make their own translations of these very esoteric books about Radha and Krishna's relationship and sweet pastimes. But doing that independently without guidance can bring the opposite result of what we want on the path of Bhakti Yoga. Whereas on Parikrama, just better, what did Srila Gurudev say? He said that will not help you so much to run and go read so many of these esoteric books. What will help more is to just come on Parikrama and hear the pastimes in a nutshell, in a very discreet and powerful drop. One powerful drop of transcendental nectar from the bona fide Vaishnavas, Guru and Vaishnavas. That can enter our heart, purify our minds and heart, and create deep impressions which are necessary to advance in Bhakti Yoga and to create, develop and increase our eagerness to serve Radha and Krishna, to enter into the process of bhajan. Hare Krishna. So that being said, we begin to do our parikrama of Manasi Ganga by doing pranam and beginning from the south side around this big lake. In ancient times, it was very vast. How large are the Great Lakes? Does anybody have statistics?
They're great. Quite big.
I went to one of them, I can't remember the name, and it feels like you're standing on the bank of an ocean. You can't see the end, it doesn't seem like a lake. I don't remember where it was, but so Manasi Ganga like that was also very, very huge. But before we sit, we do darshan at the Haridev temple. We do pranam there because he's the presiding deity of Govardhan, and then we continue after there as Brahma Kund. We do pranam there. This is where Lord Brahma did many years of austerities after making the offense of kidnapping all the boys and calves. And then after that, we keep going. I think is then Manasa Devi. And then on the north side is the Chakratirtha, the temple of Chakleshwar Mahadev, Lord Shiva, on the bank of the Manasi Ganga. And that's where we usually will sit. There's a nice sitting place near Sanatan Goswami's Bhajan Kuti. And after praying to Lord Shiva, how does it start, the prayer to Lord Shiva? Vrindavanamani Pate Jaya Soma Soma Bole Sanaka Sanandana Sanatana Ladadya Gopishwara Vrajadilasi Yogamri Padme Prema Prayacha Virupadi Namo Namaste. So after doing Achman at Manasi Ganga and praying to Lord Shiva for nothing but pure bhakti for Sri Krishna, we sit here and hear the glories of Manasi Ganga. So quickly I'll tell three. In the book it tells three main histories that Gurudev usually touches on. First, as the name suggests, Manasi, meaning the mind. What is that first one? That Sri Krishna, the gopis were still not satisfied that after Krishna killed the demon, Vritrasura, that the bull demon, you're still not pure. You need to do something to purify yourself. So Krishna closed his eyes and meditated on Ganga, and immediately Ganga appeared there. That he closed his eyes, and from his mind, this beautiful lake, Manasi, from his mind and heart, this Manasi Ganga appeared. Another time on Parikrama, Gurudev told a little sweet pastime that what is Krishna's mind and heart? That is always Sri Radha. Sri Radha is his manas. And one time Sri Krishna was out in a boat in the middle of Manasi Ganga with a stick pushing the boat, and he was meditating on Srimati Radhika and thinking, how deep is her love? How deep is her praying? And he was trying to test where's the bottom of Manasi Ganga and thinking about Radha's praying and where's the end or the limit of her praying, and thinking like that he lost consciousness and fell into Manasi Ganga. It's one sweet pastime. And another pastime is there that Nanda Baba, Yashoda Maya, and all the Vrajavasis, they wanted to go bathe in Ganga, do a pilgrimage. So that night they camped out at Govardhan, and Krishna began saying, why do you want to go to Ganga? All the holy places are in Vrindavan, Kashi, Haridwar, any holy place that's in the Himalayas, or Pushkar, any holy place that there is, any holy river, lake, stream, mountain, it's all present in Braj. And thinking like that, after explaining that or saying that, Sri Krishna meditated on Ganga and she appeared. That's when she appeared on the
Ganga River.
yes, right, and not only the river, making a beautiful sound. Ganga Devi flew there, but the Devi herself, the presiding deity, the goddess Ganga Devi, riding on her alligator, also appeared there and gave her darshan in front of all the Vrajavasis. And when they had her darshan, they were astonished and satisfied and felt no need to go anywhere. Everything is here, and they bathed there in Manasi Ganga and were satisfied in that way. What else from that pastime? Wasn't there another detail?
That pastime?
That's the essence of it.
What about the one where he disguised as a boat?
Well, okay, so then pastimes. So many pastimes of Radha and Krishna.
One will do. One will do.
But one that Gurudev always tells, I didn't mean I was going to tell the pastime. You tell it. So
No,
sweet.
you tell it.
When will the curtain open? So you can have darshan of Krishna. He's in his boatman disguise. He came in disguise as a boatman.
You knew that.
Harangagat, that's what it's called. That place. Sorry? What were we saying?
I was saying that the gopis wanted to get across. So what did he do?
So it was getting late at night, and the gopis needed to cross to come back. And Krishna knew that, so he was there in disguise as a boatman. Such an expert disguise, at first they couldn't recognize who he was. And he said, I'll take you across. I have this excellent boat, and I'm actually a very talented boatman, very skilled. And look at my boat, it's so new and excellent. Huh?
So old and dilapidated. I'm sure.
They were looking at the boat and kind of dubious. It looked a little shabby and old and possibly with holes, so they weren't sure about that, but he was boasting anyhow to come in the boat. They had no other option. First they were hesitant and quarreling a little bit with this boatman. And they were looking around for any other option. No other option was there. It was getting dark, so finally they got in the boat. And can you tell?
No, we did the painting.
So
Why are you so
as
shy?
they were
You go to
going-
so many retreats.
Not shy, just tired and
You're tired.
trying to stay focused.
Oh,
So Haribol.
all right. So basically,
When they
all right. When we go there again, the second time we can tell some more details.
Oh, we're going there again?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to tell a little bit if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I was just getting distracted. Hare Krishna. You want me to tell?
Yeah.
So when they got out into the middle, suddenly Krishna changed his tune and he began to say, actually, I don't really know what I'm doing. And oh my gosh, my boat has holes. And you all you girls with your heavy ornaments and your big clay pots, you're weighing down the boat so much. And actually, I'm not so expert and I don't know what to do. You're going to have to throw out your clay pots. And all of the girls headed by Lalita, all the gopis, immediately became suspicious. But none of them knew how to swim and they were afraid. So ultimately they were like, okay, and Krishna slowly began rocking the boat. And so they became afraid and agreed and tossed over all of the pots. They said, okay, now let's go quickly. And they saw slowly water started spurting in through these holes in the boat. And Krishna tried to go faster, but then he shook the boat even more. And then he said, no, we're still sinking. You're gonna, all your heavy golden jewels and ornaments, they must be so much weight. It's weighing us down. You have to throw your ornaments also over. And then they were really suspicious. And Lalita Sakhi especially started looking at this boatman. Who is this boatman? But they agreed finally. He said, don't you know how to swim? We could just swim. And then they really became nervous and said, no, we'll do it. So they threw all of their ornaments, jewels, bangles, necklaces, golden ornaments, everything over. And still, then Krishna rocked the boat even harder and even more water was coming in. And he said, oh my goodness, all your fancy dress and fancy clothes, it has so much embroidery and stones and gold in your veil and in the ghagra, the bottom of your skirt. So I think that's still weighing us down. Better you take off your veil and these fancy embroidered skirts, those will also have to go. And then the gopis were like, excuse me, just a moment. We know who you are. Then they knew that it must be Krishna. And they said, we're not crooked and loose like you. We are very chaste and proper young ladies, young girls. We're not like you and we know what you're up to. You better take us across. And just then he rocked the boat almost so that it would tip over, and Sri Radha, who was sitting there, became afraid that she quickly wrapped her arms around Sri Shyamasundar, and that's what he wanted anyway. So in that way, the pastime reached a successful conclusion. Shri Mansi Ganga Ki Jai.
Thank you. Dhanyavad. Even tired, she's so entranced that she can just manifest the pastimes. Okay, so now we're going back on the detour to, it's very short. Shanti wants to stop here. Bhajavan, Bandiravan.
You want this?
Thanks. Would you rather go another day, everybody? Oh, and Sringer is going to talk about Bir Chandra. Okay, go ahead. You can have this.
I'm in a bad spot. You want to come in this room here?
You have to leave now?
Hare Krishna. We'll be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow for the Sunday program. Before you go, can you please take a little prasadam with you?
Yes.
Okay, they'll give you something
Thank you
to
so
go.
much.
You have an appointment now? You have an appointment now?
Yes, I was on my way home and we saw our brother here and he invited us in.
Oh.
So we decided to honor that invitation.
Good. Yeah,
Pay our
you can see the
respects.
ladies. And see the ladies before you go. And they'll bring you a to-go plate.
Thank
Thanks
you so
for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
I guess this is her first time of seeing the deity.
Yes.
So these are live statues, you could say, of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and Radha, his feminine counterpart, his pleasure potency when we chant Hare Krishna, Celia? Celia. When we chant Hare Krishna, we chant into both of them. Hare is her, the energy of God, and Krishna is God. And so they, in order for us to be able to see them, they assume a form that looks like marble, but it's not. It's made of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And so they appear on the altar, accept our food offerings, accept our various services. And so what you'll be eating now at the take-home plate will be food that was just offered to them in love and devotion. So it has special power.
Thank you.
Okay. So have a good evening, and I look forward to see you tomorrow. Is the plates ready?
Yeah, are you walking or driving?
Where do you live?
I live on 44th.
Oh, that's right, it's only 3 blocks away.
Yeah. I used to live on 49th and, right here.
Amazing.
Neighbors.
Right. Okay, look forward to seeing you
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Hi, Mom.
And also, if you, like, I'm sure this was a little far out for Celia, because we went on Parikrama today, but generally we have, for the, when somebody's new, we have basic classes, especially Sunday, it'll be very introductory. Okay, thank you.
Bye. Have a good night.
Even though they couldn't understand it, they may benefit. Or she couldn't. Okay, so
Jnananandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshuramilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So we're going to discuss here about the appearance of Srila Virachandra or Virabhadra Prabhu. So I'm going to reference starting from the Nityananda Charitamrita. There's a few verses that describe a conversation that Mahaprabhu has with Nityananda Prabhu, giving him instruction to marry and have children. And so I'll read these verses here. Tumi ao goda deshe koraha samsar, tabe sabalokera hoibe nistar, punaha asiba ami tomara mandire, tomara grihe habe amara avatare, bhakti vilaya puna asiva samsara, Gupu avatara shaste nahite prachara, achintya amara shakti keha nahi jane, se janai tumi janaha se kane. Dear Sripad Nityananda, return to Bengal and get married. Then all the people will be delivered. I'll again manifest in your family and stay in your home. I'll distribute Krishna Bhakti and deliver the whole world.
who's speaking?
Mahaprabhu. From Nityananda Charitamrita. It says that this was a conversation they had alone. These incarnations of mine are secret and hidden in the scriptures. No one knows my inconceivable energies. Only you know them perfectly, and others know only by your mercy. So he's saying to the Nityananda Prabhu. And so there's a pastime in the Abhiram Das Thakur's Leelamrita about how he comes to meet Virachandra. So Nityananda Prabhu, he has 2 wives. We know Janava Thakurani and Vasudha Devi. And so Nityananda Prabhu, he has, as is customary when he has a child born, he invites everyone and has a grand celebration, just like we have the festival after Mahaprabhu's birth. Jagannath Mishra has a big festival. After Krishna is born, then we have Nanda Maharaj's big festival. So we have these big mahotsavas. So in the same way, Nityananda Prabhu has a big festival, and so he invites everyone. So in this Abhiram Das Thakur Leelamrita, it's described how when Abhiram Das Thakur arrives, he wants to have darshan of the baby, the newborn baby, and he pays obeisances, and the baby dies. And so everyone's like astounded. This is like a shocking situation. And this happens several times. And so it's described there that Vasudha and Janava Thakurani, they request from Nityananda Prabhu that this next son that's born, we can't invite Abhiram Das Thakur to come to the festival. So he's left off the invitation list. So having been left off the invitation list, big festivals going on, the newborn boy is there. And Virkeshwara Pandit comes to the home of Abhiram Das Thakur and Malini Devi. And he says, oh, you were not on the guest list for the festival? And not only was he not on the guest list, but even Nityananda Prabhu had told all the boatmen that this personality, Abhiram, is not allowed to cross. Don't give him passage across the Ganga to my place. And so Abhiram Thakur, doesn't take any offense. He's not disturbed in any way. But he's encouraged by Virkeshwara Pandit, but you should go anyways. And so he says, oh, we'll see. And it's described here that he leaves the house and he's just chanting Mahaprabhu's name. And then he decides to come to the bank of the Ganges there and asks one of the boatmen to give him passage across to see Nityananda Prabhu and the newborn baby. And the boatman starts questioning him and figures out this is Abhiram. And he refuses to give him passage. And him and all the other boatmen actually sink their boats so that he can't come across in any way. And so then it's described that he removes his chadar and lays it on the Ganges and it floats. And he sits on his chadar like a magic carpet and he goes across the Ganges to go to the home of Nityananda Prabhu and Janava and Vasudha. And when he arrives there, Nityananda Prabhu is very happy to greet him, and he immediately is offered to have prasad. And so when he honors prasad, he keeps asking for more, and very soon there's no prasadam left in the whole house. So it's a big festival, they've invited everyone, but Abhiram Das Thakur, he shows up and eats everything by himself. So Nityananda Prabhu is like, what is this etiquette that you consumed everything? So Abhiram Das Thakur, he's Sri Ram Saka. And so he says to Nityananda, oh, you know that I am a Paka coward boy. So first I take and then I give. And so then he does Achman and he says, now you can go check on the pots. And so Vasudha and Janava Devi, they checked the pots and everything was filled double to the previous amount. And he says, and so then he says, now you should feed everyone. So then all the Mahants, all the guests were fed prashadam and everyone was very satisfied. He says, so now I want darshan of your son. So in the same way the previous several times, he said, I want darshan, I must pay obeisance to your child. And Nityananda Prabhu, he's a little skeptical. He says, why do you have to do it? He says, no, I insist, please. So they bring this boy, who is Virabhadra or Virachandra, and when Abhiram Das Thakur pays obeisances, this child starts giggling and starts laughing. And this is the first time they saw this. Previous, they all passed away. So then Abhiram Das Thakur becomes very ecstatic and he pays obeisances 2 more times. And then Nityananda Prabhu, he says, what is the meaning of all these games you play that you my previous son, why did you do all these things? And he says, I wanted to ensure that your son was worthy of your line. So he must be worshipable. So these previous ones were not the same as Mahaprabhu, but this one is. And so like in the Gorgan Deshadipika, that verse, I'll pull it up. It says, Sankarshanasya yovyuha payo vishai namaka saiva virachandra guj chaitanya bina vigraha. The expansion of Lord Sankarshan, known as Kshiradakshai Vishnu, appeared in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes as Virachandra Prabhu. Lord Virachandra was non-different from Lord Chaitanya himself. So this is what Abhiram Das Thakur's desire was, to ensure that this is the type of personality that carries on Nityananda Prabhu's line. And so he says, it's described to the child, and he says to all the Mahants, all the different saintly persons present there, Yena dekecha gora dekeya arabad, punarabada se gora vira avatar. So that those who did not see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could again have the opportunity to see him, the Lord has reappeared in the form of Virabhadra Prabhu. So this is some excerpts of a pastime that I had never heard before. It was very interesting to read, and I'm giving some synopsis of it that I read through, but it's very sweet to see the intimacy between Nityananda Prabhu, who is Baladev, and one of his dearmost coward friends, Sri Ram Saka. and the role he plays to ensure that we have this personality, Vira Chandra or Vira Bhadra, who our Srila Prabhupada also quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how he's incarnation of Kirdaksha Vishnu. And we also hear another quite famous pastime about how when this boy grows up a little bit and he's advised to take initiation from Janava Thakurani because she's like his mother, but Vasudha Devi is his actual mother. So Janava Thakurani, she's the greatest Vaishnav present at that time. She's the Mahant. Everyone is accepting her as like the Acharya. And so his own mother is encouraging that you should take initiation from Janava Thakurani. And I know Didi's talked about this pastime, I think recently, even a few days ago, how he didn't feel so inclined. Oh, but she's like my mother, she's a woman, why didn't I take initiation from her? But then, from a long distance away, when he observed her getting water from the well, and as is customary in these types of times, she was only dressed from the waist down. And so her upper body didn't have any cloth or coverage. And so her hands were engaged with getting water from the well. And Virachandra, Virabhadra, he saw with his own eyes that two additional arms manifest to cover her chest and protect her chastity. And so then he was astounded by, well, this is not an ordinary personality, this is Guru Tattva. And so he immediately wanted to accept initiation from her in this way. And so we're very fortunate to remember great personalities like this, especially I know that we couldn't remember yesterday was the DP day, but I know that Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj would encourage that even if we don't have the opportunity on the exact day, the day before, the day after, just to ensure that you always take the opportunity to honor these personalities and pray for those blessings. So as Kirdaksha Vishnu, he's Paramatma, he's present in every heart, in every jiva's heart. So we pray that he can bless us, that we can get closer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, closer to Nityananda Prabhu.
Also, he's responsible for forgetting and remembering.
Yes. I forgot that part.
Oh.
So, Panchakalpa Tribhasha, Giribhasya,
Very great, yeah, very good. They're all new pastimes.
You hadn't heard of it before.
Where was it? Where? Nityananda Charitamrita?
And Abhiram Lilamrita.
Who wrote them?
Abhiram Lilamrita was written by one of Abhiram Das Thakur's disciples. That in one of his meditative states, Abhiram Das Thakur told him, wake up, you must tell my stories. And like instructed him that he should write his pastimes, and so he did. I think his name was Sri Tilak Ram Das, or Sri Ram Tilak Das.
And the other one?
Nityananda Charitamrita, I'm not sure where that's come from. But I was reading online the reverse reference, but it didn't say the author. So
All these personalities are so magical. Okay, so we'll end here. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Jai Guru Hare Bol.
So everybody's going to tell us what's happening tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, bye everybody. Tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.